Welcome to RootsTech Connect 2021. My name is Judy Russell, and in this session, we'll be focusing on using a particular tool to find the legal resources we need in order to understand the documents we find in our genealogical research. When we reach that understanding, we can usually solve some of those nagging family history mysteries we all have. Now, of course, before we begin, we need the disclaimer. Like all RootsTech speakers, I'm speaking only for myself. Now, with that out of the way, let's go on to my favorite topic. Yep, the law. The law here, the law there, in the United States, around the world, specifically the law and the way it plays, sometimes nicely, sometimes not so nicely, with genealogy. Now, those of you who know me know why this is a key for me. It's gotten to the point where I have what you might call a mantra. You know what a mantra is. It's a statement or slogan repeated frequently. Some of us may be old enough to remember when Om was everybody's idea of a mantra, right? But you know, by now, I have a different mantra. If you've heard it before, you can feel free to say it right along with me. But if we're going to understand the records, we have to understand the law. And this isn't an abstract. This isn't the law in capital letters. This is the law at the time this particular record was created and in the place where this particular record was created. And this sometimes leaves us in the lurch, doesn't it? Because that means what we're going to have to work on is finding that law. And all too often, genealogists don't have a clue where to start. I certainly see this all the time in the questions that I get on my blog, The Legal Genealogist. So many times, the focus of a reader question about the law is really on how to find the right law to answer the question. This was the case not long ago when a reader named Sherwin wrote in, and he was really frustrated. He couldn't find the legal resources he was looking for in researching an ancestor from early 19th century Kentucky. Now, he said his ancestor had served as a constable and a jailer, and that he had found court order books that referred specifically to the oath of office that his ancestor had to take when he was sworn into those offices. He said, I thought it would be as simple as Googling to find the text of these, but they're turning out to be more elusive. Well, that's the kind of challenge the legal genealogist can't resist, right? And it didn't take me long, just a few minutes, to find the oath of office required for a Kentucky constable in the early 19th century. And that left me really puzzled. I couldn't figure out why Sherman was having so much trouble finding the answer to his question. And I thought about that for a while until it dawned on me that he was using the wrong Google. Now, you may be sitting there rolling your eyes, thinking, wait a minute. There's only one Google. What do you mean, using the wrong Google? But the reality is there is more than one Google. And when we're trying to find the law, using the right Google is gonna help us get to the answer a whole lot faster. Now, let me show you exactly what I mean. I want to look at Sherwin's question again. Let's do that search right here. Let's look for the oath of office for a constable in Kentucky. And then we're going to click on the search button. And you know already, I don't have to even show you, you know what we're going to get. We're going to get a whole bunch of results that aren't really helpful at all. And when I say a whole bunch of results, 830 plus thousand, where none of the top hits had anything to do with the office of constable or the time period that we're interested in. That's not helpful. And the reason that this search is so unfocused for our purposes in finding the law is that it's the wrong Google. So we're going to try exactly the same search in the right Google. We're going to do that same search here at Google Books. Enter exactly the same search term, oath of office, Constable, Kentucky. Hit that search button again, and wow, what a difference. First off, we've gone from more than 830,000 hits down to fewer than 8,000. And all of the first hits now are law books from Kentucky. The very first hit from that 1834 digest of the laws of Kentucky specifically references the oath of office required at that time. It sets it out in full. And that's the difference in finding the law when we use the right Google. In this case, in so many cases, when we're trying to find the right law, the right Google is Google Books. Now, in most ways, it's as easy a system to use as Google itself. But there are some tips and tricks that are available that make it even easier and better for a genealogist. So let's go over some of the ins and outs of using Google Books to find the laws we need to understand our genealogical records. Or, as in Sherwin's case, to hear the exact words his ancestor would have spoken as a constable in Kentucky in the early 19th century. So first off, we want to get to Google Books as fast as we can. So we want to bookmark the link. It's simply books.google.com. And yes, of course, we can always Google the term Google Books, and it will take us there. We can even get there if we've made the mistake of starting back at the main Google page and doing our search there. Once we realize that, no, this isn't the search we want to do, what we can do at that point is open the More menu, drop that down, and you see that one of the options is for books. All we need to do is click on that option. And like magic, it switches over to Google Books, and it automatically reruns the search against just the Google Books items. Now, one of the most important features of Google Books is this button right here. This is the Tools button. It will take us to a choice, essentially a toggle between two options on Google Books itself. One option is the menu that you see here, and this is the default, this set of choices. Now we're going to come back to this because we're going to use these a lot. The other is the number of hits. You see that we've got that less than 8,000 hits here. Now the default, again, is the different options. So if we ever want to see the number of hits in Google Books, we need to click on the Tools button. And then to get back to our different options, we click on Tools again. That gives us back the choices that help us get closer to where we need to be anytime we're doing a search. So let's look at each of these in turn. To make these options a little clearer in what they're going to do, I want to change the search to something that's just ridiculously broad. Okay, so let's say we began our search by looking for Kentucky laws. Doesn't get a whole lot broader than that. When we do the search, remember, the options we're going to see in that bar are the Tools options. If we want to see how many hits, we'd have to click on the Tools button again. And I got to tell you, it's 5.89 million hits. I'm not going to live long enough to look at all of those. So I need to narrow this down. The first option we have in those tools for Google Books is any books. And I got to tell you, I hate that option with such a passion, because any books instead of free Google eBooks includes things like the one you see right there at the top now. It's just snippets. I'm not going to be able to actually read that item and see what it says. It's like teasing me with something I'm not going to be able to use. So I always am going to drop down that menu. First thing, I normally choose free Google eBooks. Sometimes I will choose Google eBooks, which is a little bit broader, but I want to be able to read the text of whatever hit I come across. Now, if I choose this one, this free Google eBooks right here, the first thing you're going to see is that the search results change. The first result now isn't that snippets only book. It's an actual statute book that I'm going to be able to read in full. And that's what I want. Now, if I clicked on the Tools button again, I would see that I'm down now to only 3 million hits. Now, the next option for type of document, I usually leave it just as any document, which is the default. If I wanted to, I could open up that menu, and you can see that you could choose magazines, you could choose newspapers. There are fewer newspapers or magazines available under Google Books. To me, it doesn't seem worth making a change. The next option, though, is the critical one. The best option of all, the time delimiter. We always want to open up that menu and see what our options are to limit the search results by time. Remember, it's not just the place, it's the time when the record was created. There are times when we will want any time, but most of the time, I either want a particular century, like the 19th century, or I want a specific time frame. And that's the option to choose a custom range. If I click on that choose a custom range choice, a box will pop up and I can narrow things down. I can use the calendar to choose a start and an end date, or just simply enter in the information. So let's say I want to start on January 1, 1800 and end December 31, 1820. Just hit go. The date range is set, and notice that the results have changed again. We're only getting results from that time period. We're down to about 15,000 hits at this point. Now, you would think there would be an easy way to do all of this at once. Some advanced search function, the way that Internet Archive or HathiTrust Digital Library have, with a link right on the home page. Now, Google Books has it, but it sure doesn't make it easy to find. It's not on the opening page for Google Books. And you won't see it on this screen if you hunt for it, because it's under one of the options. You have to look under Settings and then drop down the Settings menu, and one of the options there is Advanced Search. So if we click on that, it will take us to the page for the Advanced Book Search. And of course, the search term is already entered. We can change it now, and we can add or subtract as much as we want and select all of these options. And here there are actually more options than we can get from the main Google Books page. So what do? I bookmark this. I always keep the Advanced Search page where I can get to it a lot faster in the future. So now if we've come up with an answer to Sherwin's question, or we think we found a book and we want to take a closer look, say at that first digest for the Kentucky laws. Click on that hit and we get a whole lot in the results presented. The book opens, it's right to the page where the information appears. The search term that we entered is in the box at the top. And now we can change it if we want to search anything within this volume. All of the searched words are highlighted in yellow so that we can see exactly where the terms are that we searched for. We're told that we're looking at one of 5 results in this book. And if we want to see all 5 results at a time, we can choose the View All option. That changes the view to snippets from each page where a hit can be found. The default order is relevance. The other option is page order. And we can click anywhere in one of the snippets and be taken to that particular page. If we want to do a whole new search within this book, click on the Clear Search button, and it will take us back to where we started and give us a lot of other choices. We can drop down a table of contents if there is one and navigate by section. We could do another search within this volume. We could navigate page forward, page back. We can make the digital image bigger or smaller. We can choose the display format, single page, double facing pages, thumbnails. We can check out other options like sharing or downloading the book or finding it physically in a library. Now, one thing that may not look important, but it really is the X in the corner. Now, this does not close Google Books in your browser. What it does is close this display of the pages, and it takes you to an overall entry for this particular book. And there's lots of information here that we want to explore. Yes, we can read the book online for free, and there are lots of links on this page for that. We can search inside this volume the way we could in that first view. We can directly access the table of contents. We can even create a citation, although it may not exactly be evidence explained style. One of the best features is the link for similar works or similar books. You may have noticed this is volume 1 of this digest. If we were to click on similar books, the very first option would be volume 2. But perhaps the best thing about what we're going to find on this page is 2 different ways of making sure we can always find this volume again in the future. First, we can simply download a PDF copy. Okay, so it's 809 pages and 55 megabytes. But hey, hard drive space is cheap, right? Until you start downloading a lot of books. And there's always the problem of finding the book on the hard drive later when we need it. So there's another option. In my view, a better option right here. Add to my library. Yep, my library. All I need is a free Google account. Any Gmail account will do. And I have my own personal online library of all the laws and other goodies I can ever come across on Google Books. So let's go ahead and tell Google I want to add it to my library. And the first thing that happens is I'm going to be prompted to categorize this in some way. Put it on a bookshelf, to read or have read. So for now, I'm going to say this is to read. And then just click on done. Now it's in my own private Google library. All I need to do is click on that to read link and bingo. There I have it. The digest of the statutes, laws of Kentucky. Now I don't have to accept these options. I can create a new bookshelf if I want to. Just state statutes. If I want to move a book from shelf to shelf, I have to open the book again, choose to uncheck the to read bookshelf, and then check the new bookshelf instead. And for those of us who've been using Google Books for a while, and we have books in Google Play, we can access those all right here in our library. Right there, all of our books from Google Play. And now organize them into the new bookshelves as well. What we have in the end is a permanent, easily accessed online library of all the laws we end up finding in our search to understand the records. We can have it available now and available in the future, because now we know that finding the right law means using the right Google Books. Thanks for joining me today, and enjoy all of RootsTech Connect 2021.